Hello, so today I'm going to show you how we teach coordination. This is something I hear often from parents saying, oh, I didn't have the grace or the coordination for ballet. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's all in the training, and I absolutely mean that. You might have students that it may come a little easier to them, but coordination can absolutely be taught. And if you teach young enough and correct from an early age, you're gonna have it for a lifetime. I'm gonna teach you coordination that translates into jumps. First things first, we would teach them to learn where their toes are, where the ball of the foot, where is the heel. So we're teaching them, okay, toe ball, heels. We have this exercise that I do with them when they're 3 and 4, where we'll pretend that they're like rocking their stuffed animal or their baby, whatever they choose. And this is just helping them learn transfer of weight, moving side to side. This might actually take all year for a 3-year-old to learn, because they have to learn to transfer the weight all the way to the other side. So this is something we would teach slowly. And then we put their baby down, we give them a kiss, right? And then we would say, okay, we're gonna run and dance, but let's not wake up your baby. And so we'll have them tiptoe, go, so it would look like this. They would go, tiptoe, tiptoe, tiptoe. And then we might have them run and jump, something like that. So that's a really simple way that we teach them to roll toe ball heel through their feet. And then eventually, when they're learning their jumps, they learn to land very softly, very quietly on their feet. So that's a beautiful progression that translates. And then we use a lot of props with the kids because it's just so fun. So we start with a gentle bounce. This is the foundation for everything, but we'd like to do it with the back nice and lifted so they're not leaning forward. So we nice and lifted here, and then the props will start back, and we just take it quick, 2, and front, and front, and eventually this will be a little faster, and so they could jump with it, right? Eventually it's a full jump. Okay, they also could reverse it, but that's going to be more like age 6. Okay, so this is like 5 years old. We're teaching them this. Okay, and then they could jump with it. Okay, we're going to combine that with different steps, maybe a rise and a little bourrée turn, something like that. But yeah, we'll combine it. We might have them melt all the way down and jump up. Okay, just very simple things that teach them rhythm and musicality with their dance movement, okay? But very simple. This is just one of the simplest ways to create that coordination. Once they get that, we start to teach them opposites. And then this translates, this is actually not too bad, but when we start adding this, it adds an extra layer of challenge, right? And then eventually they'll be able to reach those arms, swing, 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 reach the arms, and notice we do the opposite, right? Eventually we could do that with a rise, and then eventually we could do that with a saute. That would be more like grade 1 or grade 2 when they're in the classical work. So it's a beautiful seamless progression. We also start teaching them to balance like at a bar when they're 3 and 4, and have them lift their leg as a tabletop. We even put a little plastic teacup to see if it'll rest there. We make sure that their ankle alignment is correctly, because they'll want to be here or here. So just making sure that ankle alignment is correct. Then we'll teach them marches. Right, so they'll learn their marches. From their marches, we teach them a little, okay, can you hop? March, hop, and this teaches them to go up in their jumps and not forward. That's really important for their skips. And then we start to teach them in their primary program, about 6 years old. Once they've gotten their marches, we start with opposite arms and leg width marches. And they'll hold, and then we do it fast. Yeah, so that's a beautiful progression. Of course, in grade 1, when they start to jump a little bit more, they're skipping with opposite arms, like that. So they're really learning that skip. Okay, and then at that point we're not using props anymore in grade 1. Grade 2, we start to bring the arms down and up and finding this first. This is actually this movement pattern going down and up. And like I might teach this in a jazz level class, so that they're learning the down and up movement, because they're gonna actually jump this in grade 2. So they'll go skip and slow, 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 quick, and skip and slow, 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 skip. And that will take them almost a year, sometimes more, for them to really get the coordination of that. But it's a very simple progression. So yeah, and then from there, they're learning in, say, grade 3, they're learning to go side to side like this. And then they're learning to skip opposite like this. And even in grade 1, they won't be using their arms and legs with it, but they'll be just learning one quick, slow, quick, slow, quick, slow, quick, slow. And we find dancers will be here, and that there'll be a cross, and there's lots of things that we have to work with them. It takes a year for, say, a 7 or 8-year-old to be able to find this movement pattern. And then a couple years later, they're learning this as a posé temps levé, as a skip. And so while it looks like a simple, easy progression, these are things that they have to really master, the position of the arms and able to be able to move them. So also in grade 2, they learn to step into position using these arms. So they're starting to travel with the arms in grade 2, and then in grade 3, then they start with the side to side. So it has a seamless progression. Yeah, so that's a beautiful progression. Also from this is a beautiful progression that we start with. They're learning to rock side to side. Yeah, so this doesn't look like much, right? But this is their ola seconde. Eventually this leg would be, nice and high and finding that balance, okay? So we're learning to find a balance on one leg, and that's actually very difficult to do on a straight supporting leg, because you have to be on perfect balance in order for that leg to be straight. Okay, if I'm not on balance, my knee is gonna have to bend. So this is a beautiful thing that we start when they're about 3, and then they really master this by the time they're about 5. And then from there, we take it to a plie like this. Okay, so this is what you would see, and we would be looking, and this is for a 6-year-old class, we would be looking for butterflies or fireflies. We're looking side to side, and then we run, and we do a little awesome blade jump, okay? So that's a really fun, creative dance. It's one of my favorites, actually, of the transfer of weight. So you're looking side to side. It's just so fun for them. And then in grade 1, they start to learn to close it and go into third position. Yeah, so they're here and here, and that's such a beautiful progression because they just learned a glissade, which is a classical step. And in fact, glissade is like the word "the" in all the jumping series. It's a connecting step, so it's really important and foundational. It's also extremely challenging to teach usually. Usually it's taught here. This is usually how it's taught. And close. But RED does it a little differently. They just start very simply looking where they're going to third, and then in grade 2, they're mastering that a little bit more. They go from there to changing the legs, to changing the feet. And then in grade 3, they start learning a sisson, which is a change. It looks very similar, or it feels very similar to a glissade, but it's very different. It's a side sisson, and they have to learn to land on one leg. So that's a challenge. So you can see this is just kind of a glimpse of the progression that you would see dancers work through in the very foundational years. Our classical program begins at about age 7 or 8. You can see if they really have the foundation of the younger years, it is so much easier. RED is so fun because it teaches them through creative play. Children at age 5 and under are in their creative mind. So it's essential that they're learning to develop their creativity, their imagination, because That's what we do as adults. We're like, hey, why doesn't this exist? Maybe I'll create this. And then they have a new idea, a new concept to create something beautiful in life for themselves and for the world. Thanks for watching. And in another video, I'm going to share with you what retraining looks like and the challenges that students face when they have to retrain. It's just so important that they get the right training from the start. Just imagine if you learned that the letter K was the letter T, and then every time you tried to write something, it was incorrect on the page, and you'd have to retrain your brain every time you would write a sentence. Oh, the K is actually the T. And so that would be very frustrating to have to relearn something that you could have easily just gotten correct the first time. And so it's as simple as like just learning the wrong movement coordination will make a student feel like they're not good enough or they can't do it. But when they're given the right training at the right time, in the right stage of development, learning becomes easy and effortless. And this is the truth that we see in our students, young and old. It's just incredible to witness. And I hope you'll join us in the studio and find out for yourself.